Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Well, we've got a reel in the bag project. This one's, I guess, partially been started and then, well, partially left uncompleted. This reel was sent in by Joe, and well, we're going to see if we can't help Joe get this thing back together again and get it serviced along the way. So these look like all the exterior components, all the stuff that's going to go onto the shaft here. And when I get a reel in the bag project, then the first thing I normally like to do is go pull a schematic of the reel so that I get an idea of just what is there and well, where it all goes. So I went out to the internet. If you're working on a Penn reel, you can get the schematics from mysticparts.com, and this is the assembly that we're looking at here in terms of all those pieces that just came out. So it doesn't look like anything inside the reel has been touched, but we're going to go inside that reel. We're going to take it apart. We'll show you how to service the reel and, well, how to get it going again. It's frozen here, so I'm going to assume that something inside the reel was touched too. Let's just see what's going on here. Yeah, I can't turn the shaft, and there's no sense trying to turn the shaft as it is right now. So let's open it up and get started showing you how to service the Penn Warfare 30 LW level wind. Well, if you like these types of videos, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel. And if you do subscribe to the channel, please use the notification button. That notification button will let you know when I'm posting videos. And I work on all kinds of reels. Today it's a very large saltwater level wind reel. Tomorrow it may be a small bait casting reel or a spinning reel, or who knows. You're kind of looking over your shoulder at what comes into my shop. Those become the subjects of a lot of videos, and I like the variety. You might like the variety as well. Alright, I've removed the two screws that were left. Two of the screws were out, and we're just going to pull off the side plate now. And the inside of the side plate looks like it, well, like it should. We have an eccentric here that's going to move the free spool in and out. We have a collar here that's holding on a little assembly that's going to hold your anti-reverse clutch. And inside now, well, we want to see if it was something with the side plate installation or if it was actually the gear here. Well, everything seems to be spinning pretty good here. A couple of pieces just fell off there. But let's take this reel apart, get started on it, service it, get it back to Joe so he can take it fishing. We're going to start by removing these two springs. They're called yoke springs, and regardless of the order of how you take the pieces and parts off, I always like to take those two yoke springs off first, because as you tilt the reel, that's an anti-reverse dog that just fell out. As you tilt that reel, things tend to fall and springs tend to bounce, so that's never really a good position to be in. I'm going to remove my anti-reverse clutch and collar. On the anti-reverse clutch, notice one side's got a metal rim and the other side's got the plastic rim. And when we remove this, the metal side is facing outbound. The collar has two tabs on it. They're going to sit into the slots on the top washer on the main gear. Well, we're going to take these off. These have got the, I call them reverse drags. They're kind of interesting. Instead of having eared washers, Penn moved over to a system where the drag washers actually become the eared washers on this, and the internal washers, well, they become the press points for that. This is kind of interesting. Usually on these setups you would get 3 of the drag washers, but this is a 4 drag washer set. Then we have our bottom washer that goes underneath the main gear. And we have our click ratchet. This is where the other anti-reverse dog is going to go. It'll go like this. Actually, it'll go this way. And we're going to have to figure out how to get those on the posts when we're done with the servicing. I always encourage folks to take pictures of the reel. That way, as you're going through the servicing, you can determine where the pieces and parts go should you get stuck. I also encourage you to go out and get that aforementioned schematic. And here's an example. This is your middle washer for the drag set. Even though it has those 2 holes for the tag, it's flat on both sides. This one has a raised side. That's going to be your top washer. Okay. There's 2 screws here. And I want to remove them because I'm thinking there might be a bearing underneath the shaft here. I guess I can check that right now. That's a bushing. 26A is a bushing, I think. That's another reason why the this is a bushing, so no need to take that off. Bushings are just pieces of metal. They're not bearings, so act accordingly. Let's go ahead and pull the shaft and the yoke off. We'll pull the jack off, and then we'll clean up the case. We're going to come over and service the other side in a moment, but there is a bearing in here. We'll remember to oil that as we go through this. If you have any questions on this reel or any reel, if you'd like to know a little bit more about the reel, maybe you're working on a reel and you're stuck, just leave those questions in the comments section. I will try to answer those for you. I just got stuck on one. I had to ask the owner of the reel. I've been working on a bait feeder reel, and well, it doesn't seem like it has a automatic trip. Looks like it has a just a manual only, but I could be wrong. Could be missing a part. All right, this is a very big main gear here, or pinion gear rather. I'm going to take a hard bristle brush and I'm going to pull through the slots of the gear. I want to get all of the dirt and grease and the like that may be associated with this out, and I'll brush it onto a paper towel so that I don't leave it on the board and transfer that, causing additional issues. This is a pretty high-speed reel. You have a fairly good-sized pinion gear here, but you have a very big main gear by comparison. Okay, I'm going to get that set up. Now, when you do this, there's a slotted side on this pinion gear, and if you look inside the reel, you're going to see that there's a post. We'll show you more when we take the spool out. There's a cross post there. That's going to ride in these sections. So when you go to reinstall the pinion gear, make sure that you have the cross post facing the inside. Also, you're going to notice there's 2 slots or ramps on this side. They're almost indistinct, but pay attention to them. That's going to be the side that faces the spool as well, because this piece with the jack that we saw with those 2 ramps, well, those slots help them get started in moving it up. So slots in, shoulders in, put that back onto the posts, bring it down, and I think we're going to have to do it this way. There's a little trouble clearing that one piece there. So what I did was I got the wider neck of that pinion gear in before I put the yoke in. Okay. Next up then, we want to get that click washer set up. Now this has got a rectangular square on it. This is a backup emergency style anti-reverse dogs. The primary anti-reverse is with that anti-reverse clutch, but this is a secondary fail-safe to that. What we're going to do here is we're going to put that over the shaft, and then we're going to have to line those 2 spokes on the anti-reverse dogs. I guessed pretty good there. Over those 2 pins. That's part 1. Part 2 means you need to press down to make sure that the square on the shaft is in the square on the click ratchet. With that done, we can put a piece of, well, we can take our drag washers now. And these are Penn's version of carbon text. They can get greased, or you can leave them grease free. If you grease them, and I just put a little bit of grease on it, make sure you can see the cross hatching on those on those drag washers. The first one that goes on underneath the main gear is the small one, and you can see why. If you had a large one here, these anti-reverse dogs would be hitting it. So the small one goes below. Check your main gear just like we did the pinion gear. Grab a brush, pull through. This appears to be a very nice gear. High quality metal. Check all their teeth, make sure they're not injured. That means bent or perhaps broken somehow. Now and then reels get into a fight with a fish and the fish wins, and then you've got broken gear teeth and other things. Happens a lot on spinning reels, less so on conventional reels, but it does happen. So make sure that you check those teeth just in case. And then a good amount of grease. You don't have to get grease in every tooth, but a good amount of grease will help. Okay, with that greased up there, let's go install that. You need to press down on it. You need to merge it in with the pinion gear. And we can take the other two now. I'm using Cal's Universal Dry Grease. You do not need to use that or run out and get a can of it, if you will. You can use the Penn grease. These have tags on it, scallops if you will, and there's indents in the main gear. So you want to just make sure that they nest just like that. And we said there's two different types. Same washer, but two different looks. This one has a raised center. The flat one on both sides goes next. We'll do this one more time with the dry grease. Wipe it in. Now if you get any excess, simply wipe it off. If you don't wipe off the excess, it's just going to squeeze out inside the reel. Just be, well, ineffective. Next up then is our cap washer. And then we have the collar with those 2 points, so put that collar in there. And then what you can do, there's two ways to do the next one. This is the anti-reverse clutch. I like to put it into the reel. Sometimes just trying to put that in, meshing it in properly with the anti-reverse on gets a little difficult. Okay. The two yoke springs, remember I told you about those. They have a tendency to fall out. So they're kind of first ones that I'm going to change. And it's the last ones I'm going to move. After you've installed the two springs, make sure that your point for the eccentric is in the up position. And then what we want to do is line everything up. I have the clutch inside the case. Line everything up, bring it over. And then make sure that you have a nice tight seal. I guessed right with the location of that free spool eccentric. So we have free spool, and then we have our handle turning. That is correct. Okay, I want to just get that trim ring now. Bring that behind, kind of in and under, and then I can work that over and get one of these screws started here so that I don't have to rely on my finger strength to get this done. So overall, it's a nice reel inside. It looks like it's got pretty good quality materials. The gearing, as we saw, it's pretty strong gearing. And I think, well, if you like a large size level line reel, this is probably it. My guess is that this is the modern day version of a Penn 309 Peerless with a higher retrieve rate. Those retrieve rates are great when you're fishing jigs for fast-moving fish. For example, if you're blue fishing or striped bass fishing and the fish are moving very quickly, you want a high-speed retrieve so that the lure, well, attracts them. Something dead in the water, well, not so much. All right. We'll just try that again. We're going to go into free spool. Make sure that your spool is spinning. And it is. We can back off some of that. But that's moving nicely. Put it in retrieve mode and your handle should be turning. So we're in good condition with that. Before I go over and deal with that other side, I just want to take a moment. We'll remove the non-gear side plate, service that spool. There's 4 more screws to be removed here. This is a graphite case. You have those rough threaded screws. And I haven't heard any reports back about any issues with the case or with the reels. And had a couple in this series. You had the Warfare, you had the Defiance, and you had the Rival. And quite honestly, on the Defiance and the Rival, they've never been my favorite reels. And I think Penn could have done better with them. The Warfare, I don't have the same low regard for that. Okay, I'm going to remove the spool because there's 2 bearings on here. There's a bearing on the spool side and on each spool side. I'm going to oil those up using fishing reel oil. Inside here there's only a set of plastic gears. One is going to be turned by the spool. The other is going to turn the guide, the worm gear drive. And that will intersect with this piece right here. So let's put a little bit of oil on that. I don't oil, or I don't grease the drives that are Teflon. They're, by their nature, the petroleum products are sort of self-lubricating. So I just make sure that the bearings are the ones that get the attention. Take that spool, put the spool in first. Make sure you lock in on that. I'm going to put this in release mode. It's just easier. Let's take the case then. Make sure that your screw holes are lined up. That's your, I'm not sure we're in that. Or not. All right. So that'd be a case where you start putting screws in. That, yeah, now we are. There we go, that nice snap. That'd be a case where you'd be putting screws in, you wouldn't have anything taking. Let's go back to the tray then. We'll put these 4 in. We'll service that line guide. We'll put the face on it, the star adjuster and the like. And we'll give it a test. This is a good time to service your reels. It's getting towards the end of the season. A lot of cases, like where we are here, most of the seasons are closed up. There's some bottom fishing still going on. Striped bass are still around, but they'll be leaving any day. So if you're pretty much done, go ahead and take the time now before you forget about it to service your reels. I'm often asked what the service interval should be on a reel. My suggestion is reels should be serviced annually, and well, if you're very heavy schedule of fishing, then you probably want to service even less than that, maybe twice a year. Okay, last part then is to service the pawl. You want to remove the pawl cap. And then the pawl should come out. When the pawl comes out, check the shoulders on both sides. Check the points, make sure that they're equal. This one looks to be in good condition. Put a drop of oil there on the side so that it turns easily. I oil the worm gears, I do not grease them. And then what I like to do is just hold my finger as pressure on that pawl, turn the spool until you feel the pawl drop down. It should be almost even with the collar on the reel. Let's go ahead and grab that cap. Start these by hand, you don't want to cross strip them. Tighten that up. And then, well, we had this rest of the stuff in the bag, if you will, so let's go figure out what's going on there. These are the pieces that came off the reel, and it says the first one is this collar with that short rim facing up. Then we have a series of tension washers. Tension washers are cupped washers, they're not flat. I like to put the cup facing up on the first one, down on the next, and repeat, up on the next, down on the next. Those are the 4 of those. Then you have a washer that has the click in it for the noisemaker when you're backing off the drag, and this says that that faces up. That'll come in next. Then we're looking for there's 2 of them here now. And in case you're wondering, look on the schematic, this one will fit exactly in the star adjuster hole. So it's the smaller one which goes below. And we can put the star adjuster on. And when you get to the point where that star adjuster needs to intersect with that point on that click noisemaker, I guess I'm not getting this in square. Just take your time, don't force anything. If it doesn't feel right, it probably isn't right. And it's not unusual for these things to start going in kind of crooked. Eventually it'll work right. That looks right. I'm just going to hold a little pressure on the piece inside. Turn that. Now somewhere around there we should start to see whether we're going to get that click in or not. When you get past the point where you can grab that, alright, the click's working, then use the handle as a wrench. Bring the last washer in like that. Handle screw goes in next. And I'll apologize if my hand is the only thing you're seeing in this picture. I'm going to at least get it started here. It's a pretty substantial screw. There we go. Take your time with these. Don't force anything. I've had a couple of reels come in lately that have cross-strip threads because somebody wasn't paying attention. Just take your time. All right, tighten that down. Before you tighten this all the way, make sure that you've got this star adjuster tightened because you want to get it out of the way of the handle. You don't want to trap that star adjuster in the handle. Use the wrench that came with the box or any wrench that you may have, and tighten that screw. In the last turn, you want to align the scallop in the nut with the hole in the handle, just like that, so that you can put the last screw in. And then we can tighten that down. Well, that should be, as they used to say, all she wrote. That should be the answer to how to put this reel back together again. Well, we're in free spool. Let's give it a spin. Make sure that it spins nice and easy. It does. Your line guide's tracking nice and easily. Let's go over to retrieve mode. Working like a charm. Nice and quiet and easy. Good gear, good tension for the drag washer. And then I always recommend when you're not fishing with the reel, if it's the day is done, just back that adjuster off. Take the pressure off of those drag washers. That way you'll preserve the grease that you put on them. You won't press them out. And, well, I'll live to fish another day. Well, that's it. That's your Penn Warfare 30 LW level wind fishing reel. Very nice example of a nice heavy-duty level wind reel by Penn. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that. To our first responders and essential personnel, thank you for everything it is that you do to keep us safe. I truly appreciate your career choice and your dedication to task. For everybody, well, this is the time, we mentioned it before, this is the time to service your reels. Down, if you're getting downtime, go ahead and take a few minutes. Take the reels apart, service them. Make sure that they're ready to go fishing on the next blitz. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Have a great day.